As Trump continues to become more and more unglued, he took to Truth Social today and wrote, "Caitlin Collins of fake news CNN, always stupid and nasty, asked me why the new ballroom was costing more money than originally thought 1 year ago. I said because it is going to be double the size and the quality of the finishes and interiors has been brought to the highest level. Also, the column span has been substantially increased for purpose of viewing. It is actually under budget and ahead of schedule, as my jobs always are. It's just much bigger and more beautiful than originally planned. Interestingly, and seldom reported, there are no taxpayer dollars involved. It is being fully paid for by private donations. Fake news CNN and the guy who runs the whole corrupt operation that owns it is one of the worst in the business. The ratings are so low that they're not even counted or relevant anymore. MAGA." Now, here's some of Caitlin Collins' reporting that sent Donald Trump into that tailspin.
You see that giant crane over my shoulder? That's the latest addition to the construction zone here at the White House, where President Trump's ballroom is going to go eventually. And it comes as we're learning here at CNN that there is actually a new architect who is overseeing this project. That's because President Trump clashed with the original architect who is supposed to be in charge of building his ballroom. It comes as we know that the size and the cost of this ballroom have ballooned, though they still maintain all of it is being paid for with private donations.
Now, here's the thing about all of this. Just imagine for a moment that Donald Trump was as passionate about anything as he was about his $350 million ballroom, about his finishes and the amount of time it takes to build. Here he is, the president of the United States, the leader of the free world, quote unquote, shouldering a record low approval rating, leading a party that's losing nearly every election it's run in lately, headed for a blue wave, and all this dude can think about is a ballroom that, by the way, virtually zero regular Americans will ever go inside. And to think that this guy ran as a populist. If the con wasn't obvious before, it should be now. In fact, Trump's even had the opportunity to pivot back to affordability and, well, this is what he did instead.
It's a con job. I think affordability is the greatest con job. They look at you and they say, affordability. They don't say anything else. Everyone says, oh, their prices were so low. No, they had the worst inflation. And it didn't have much of an impact because the prices were very high. But our prices now for energy, but for gasoline, are really low. Electricity's coming down. And when that comes down, everything comes down. But the word affordability is a Democrat scam. They say it, and then they go on to the next subject. And everyone thinks, oh, they had lower prices. No, they had the worst inflation in the history of our country. Now, some people will correct me, because they always love to correct me, even though I'm right about everything. But some people like to correct me, and they say 48 years. I say it's not 48 years, it's much more. But they say it's the worst inflation that we've had in 48 years. I say ever, but whether it's 48 years or ever, it's pretty bad. We had the worst inflation that we've ever had.
Yeah, one more. Yeah, when you talk about affordability, is going forward, are the American people, do you believe, getting impatient with the reforms that you're making? They've talked about it's about.
I think they're getting fake news from guys like you. Look, affordability is a hoax that was started by Democrats who caused the problem of pricing, and they didn't end it when, look, they lost in a landslide. We won every swing state, we won the popular vote, we won everything.
Gotta love Trump seething over the fact that Americans are beginning to recognize the con that they've been sold after he peddled the idea of affordability on the campaign trail, only to then send costs soaring once he actually took power. And so now, Democrats have been running on fixing the problems created and exacerbated by Trump, and his response is to now claim that the very word affordability is a Democrat scam, a Democrat hoax, which is a tad bit ironic considering this is what he posted just days ago. Quote, "I am the affordability president, talk loudly and proudly." Or how about this one? Quote, "Affordability is our goal, love to the American people." So which is it? Is affordability a Democrat hoax, or is affordability literally your entire MO? Because whichever it is, Donald Trump should probably tell that to Donald Trump. And it's not just Trump who's bristling at the fact that the GOP is getting killed on affordability. Here's JD Vance.
If you look at every affordability crisis that's confronting the American people today, it is traceable directly to a problem caused by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Why did homes get so unaffordable? Because we had 20 million illegal aliens in this country taking homes that ought by right to go to American citizens. Why did tax bills get so unaffordable? Because Democrats were raising taxes while congressional Republicans under the president's leadership were now cutting taxes. Why did food get so expensive? Because we printed trillions of dollars and threw it into green scams that made our agricultural economy suffer while Americans were paying higher prices for food. On every single one of those issues, Mr. President, I think we've made incredible progress. But it would be preposterous to fix every problem caused over the last 4 years in just 10 months. I think that we've done incredibly good. But what I see over the next year, and you heard Brooke talk about joy and gratitude. What I really think this season represents for me, and I think for the entire administration, is that we have now done incredible work to fix what Joe Biden broke. And I think the next year in American growth and American prosperity could be the best year that we've had in the United States of America. It's going to happen because we're all working hard. It's going to happen because we have the greatest country in the world. But I think for congressional Democrats in particular, if they want to talk about affordability, they ought to look in the mirror. We are fixing what they're broken. We're proud to do it. It's the job that we were elected to do. But I think 2026 is going to be the year where this economy really takes off.
Ah, yes. They may have said that prices would go down on day one, but what they meant was that 365 days later, they would go down. Common mistake, am I right? The bad news for Trump is that while he and Vance and the rest of these right-wing sycophants may insist on trying to manifest these lies into reality, the American people know better. I spoke on CNN about the fact that Trump is now contending with his lowest polling ever.
So let's start with President Trump's approval rating. What do you make of that, Brian?
I think that people are recognizing the con that they've been sold. This guy swept into office amid a fury of populist promises that he would lower the cost of groceries, of eggs, of housing, of rent. And then he got into office, engaged in a trade war that sent the cost of everything surging, cut everybody's health coverage, Medicaid, ACA subsidies, food assistance. And on top of all of that, had the audacity to actually focus his attention on encrusting his Oval Office in gold, building a $350 million ballroom, buying a couple of Gulfstream jets, getting his own Qatari jet that he retrofitted to the tune of $1 billion, paid for by American taxpayers. And look, if Trump wants to pretend that affordability is solved or a hoax or a scam, be my guest. But the American people, again, can very clearly see that things are getting more expensive, not less. I mean, they literally just voted in Democrats in a blue wave on that exact issue in states from Virginia to New Jersey to Georgia, Pennsylvania to California. A failure of this president to keep his promises when it came to affordability. And yet, instead of actually seeking to fix it, Trump does what he always does, which is to gaslight everyone into thinking that he already fixed it and it was amazing and no one can fix it like he can, and many people are saying that he deserves a prize. And the irony, by the way, of this exact strategy is that telling people the economy is doing great when people's individual finances are not doing great is the exact phenomenon that plagued the Democrats and paved the way for Trump himself to win the 2024 election. So the fact that Trump is now falling victim to that exact phenomenon is even more hypocritical since, of all people, he should know better. But still, the urge for him to lie is just too strong. The truth is that affordability is simply not a focus for Trump. It was on the campaign trail when he needed something from the voters, namely their support, but now that he's got that, he doesn't care about them. Simple as that. Now Trump's focus is on himself. As I said, it's on building himself a $350 million ballroom, as evidenced by his tweet, on renovating the Lincoln bathroom in marble, on paving over the Rose Garden, on encrusting the Oval Office in gold, retrofitting a Qatari jet to the tune of $1 billion paid for by us, on buying Kristi Noem a couple of Gulfstream jets to the tune of $172 million, on hosting crypto dinners where he casually doubles his net worth. You're starting to recognize why he needs everyone to be distracted with culture wars about the evil communist Marxist Democrats and immigrants, because if his base wasn't good and distracted, they would be able to see that Donald Trump does not actually give a shit about them and is solely focused on himself. The good news, though, is that despite Trump's best efforts, the voters aren't quite as dumb as Trump had hoped.
This, as a new poll finds, about 70% of Americans say groceries are more expensive now than they were a year ago. And about 60% of them are blaming President Trump.
And given the state of Trump's answers, especially on affordability, he doesn't seem at all interested in altering course, meaning the problems plaguing the GOP right now are only poised to get worse and worse. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.